Women shouldn't be firefighters, so I carried him out of a burning building when I joined the Westridge Fire Department 5 years ago. I was their first female firefighter. Chief Miller had fought to hire me despite opposition from the old guard. Your test scores were the highest we've seen in years, he told me. Gender doesn't matter when a building's on fire. Not everyone agreed. Most of the crew eventually accepted me after seeing me work, but one firefighter, Jack Mercer-Purton, made it his mission to prove I didn't belong. Jack was a third-generation firefighter with 20 years of experience and biceps the size of my thighs. He'd accidentally bump into me in the hallway, assign me the worst chores, and make comments just loud enough for me to hear. Women shouldn't be firefighters. It's biology, not sexism. I ignored him and focused on my job. I couldn't change his mind, but I could prove him wrong through my work. Last month, we got a call at 2 a.m. Parent apartment fire, 3rd floor, possible victims trapped. As we suited up, Jack muttered, "Try not to get anyone killed tonight, princess." When we arrived, flames were already shooting from the windows. The building was old, with narrow hallways and tight corners, exactly the kind of space where my smaller frame was an advantage. Chief Miller assigned Jack and me to search the 3rd floor. Jack rolled his eyes but followed protocol. The smoke was thick as we moved through the hallway checking apartments. Most were empty. The residents had evacuated, but in the last unit we found an elderly man unconscious on the floor. "I'll take him," Jack said immediately, moving toward the victim. Just then there was a loud crack. Part of the ceiling collapsed, sending a burning beam down directly onto Jack. He screamed as it pinned his leg. He yelled into his radio, but the beam had damaged it. All I could hear was static. The flames were spreading fast. The elderly man was still unconscious, and now Jack was trapped too. I had seconds to make a decision. I moved to Jack first, using my Halligan tool as leverage to lift the beam just enough for him to pull his leg free. His turnout gear had protected him from serious burns, but he couldn't put weight on his injured leg. "Get out of here," he grimaced. "I'll figure something out." I ignored him and moved to the elderly man, checking his pulse. Still alive, I hoisted him over my shoulder in a fireman's carry, penny to the same technique Jack had once said I'd never be strong enough to perform effectively. Then I turned back to Jack. "Put your arm around my shoulder." "Now, what?" "No, take him first and come back." To hear is no time. I cut him off. "Either we all go together or none of us do." Jack stared at me for a second, then nodded. With the elderly man over my right shoulder and Jack leaning heavily on my left side, I began the slow journey back through the burning hallway. Every step was agony. My muscles screamed, my lungs burned from the smoke despite my mask, and sweat poured down my face. When we finally emerged from the building, paramedics rushed to take the elderly man. I helped Jack to an ambulance before collapsing onto the curb, gasping for air. Chief Miller appeared beside me, offering water. "You okay, Martinez?" I nodded, still catching my breath. "That was one hell of a rescue," he said. "2 victims at once through that inferno. I am putting you up for a commendation." I was too exhausted to respond. As the paramedics treated my smoke inhalation, I saw them loading Jack into an ambulance. Our eyes met briefly before the doors closed. 3 days later, I was back at the station, organizing equipment in the bay. Jack hobbled in on crutches, his leg in a brace. The room went quiet as he made his way toward me. "Martinez," he said, his voice gruff. "Got a minute?" I nodded, and we stepped outside. "I've been a firefighter for 20 years, he began, looking at the ground. "Never needed to be carried out before the doc says. If you hadn't gotten me out when you did, I might have lost the leg." He finally looked up. "You saved my life, and Mr. Jen's just doing my job," I replied. "Yeah, well," he extended his hand. "You're a damn good firefighter, better than most of the men I've worked with." Again me, I shook his hand, surprised by the admission. The next shift, I found my locker had been decorated with a crude drawing of a superator with my face carrying 2 people from flames. The caption read, "Martinez, proving me wrong since 2019. It wasn't an apology exactly, but in Jack's world it was something even better, parent respect. Last week, a young woman came to the station asking about becoming a firefighter. Jack was the first to greet her. "You want to talk to Martinez?" I overheard him say. "She's the best we've got."